Welcome to my channel, everyone. In this video I'm going to be demonstrating something that's pretty important with the Don Smith coils, and I want to notify everyone that I'm going to slightly adjust the way I do my videos. I had a feeling I'm coming into a narrow point, focusing only on one subject, and there's many things that I want to show to people, just in case it helps them. And so I'm going to be sort of shuffling things up and just doing videos on other subjects, whereas I've been recently focused on one track. So if this is a video that's not for you, please, could I ask you just please like, share and subscribe anyway, just in case it's someone you do know, someone that's in your circle, may find this interesting, and you could be that link, which to someone may be beneficial when you think it might not be. So yeah, please like, share and subscribe. And so I'm going to demonstrate the reasons why Don Smith had his coils in the arrangement that he had, why he always talked about these tiny little kits. He rarely ever showed the actual thing. A lot of the time he would actually just show a photocopy of similar coils. I remember looking into these coils and trying to work out just what Don was on about there. So these are just wound on polypipe, and I don't even remember the gauge of it. It's really not that important for this demonstration. But these you can see in my other video, with free energy with resonance, and with these two separate coils that are not electrically connected, you will see how Don is paying for 1/2 of the energy that's present in his system, which is why he can do the one wire setups and that sort of thing as well. So what I'm going to show here is we're going to take these two identical coils, both the same amount of turns. If you refer to that other video with free energy with resonance on my channel, you can get the exact specs. My eyes are not that good enough to read that. I want to say 50 nanofarads. I can't remember. Check on the other video, please. 50 nano. Yeah, I can't remember. So we're not going to do that. But it's just, these are going to be used to demonstrate what's going on, and then I'm going to show you a more practical version with something that's just off screen here. Okay, so what I have done here is connected up 5 batteries, 1.2 volts a piece, giving me 6 volts. I've positioned them that way so that I can place the two coils there without them rolling away down the hill like that. So we'll just sandwich them together like that. Okay, and now what I have done is I've connected the positive of that 6 volts to, we've got to check the positive side. Okay, so the positive side is the inside. For those, positive of the LED is what I'm connecting to there. So positive of the LED, and because this is in essence a dead short, that coil is coming back around to the end of that LED. That would be the same as me shorting out that battery. So I'm not going to leave that on for a long period of time. I will demonstrate something to you where I will leave it on long enough so that I can demonstrate that. I don't recommend doing that. These wires will heat up, and you can fry stuff. So, but we're going to take that small risk for a known benefit. Okay, so I'm going to just tap this on this other side. That will allow this LED to illuminate. But what we're interested in is this LED illuminating. Just get a better angle on that. Okay, so this LED that we're not applying power for, on this side we naturally assume that we're applying power through that circuit, making it a dead short, and power has to travel at least for the length of the circuit, and then things will start to heat up. So but on this side we're not putting anything into that, and so there's an induction, a natural induction occurring there. So if I just tap that on there, actually we might just turn off this overhead light, and then we can make this easier. So we can see if I tap this light, we can barely see. The other one has a tiny bit of power as well. So if I block the visual aspect of that first one, because it tends to saturate the camera, and that's typically all you can see. I mean, you can see it there, but it's easier if I just put my hand over that. So there's a visual block there. If I try to shadow the light coming from this side as well, we can see that there's a small amount of light there. So now if I was to take this coil and turn it the opposite direction, we no longer get that light from the second coil. Now, why would that be? And that's when you notice, if you have a look at Don's circuits, you will see, I will just turn this back on quickly. I'm going to try and make a change to my videos where I don't make them as long. If you're interested in knowing more, let me know. I'll go more into depth. Now you can see that because we've got this positive and negative nature, then the coils are wound in essence the same direction, but the start of the new coil, start of the first coil, one that's being powered, is heading in that direction. The start of the next coil is also heading in that same direction there. Have I got those in focus? So now when we place on one side, we place anything on that coil, on this secondary coil, the polarity of that now matters. So it doesn't matter if I turn this coil around, the coil's still going in the same direction, still wound the same way. But why does the light not work that way compared to that way? It's because of this LED here, which designates a polarity. So it's at that point that you start to realize why Don has his coils center tapped. But what I really think is an extra benefit here, I'll just double check that I've got those the right way round. Okay, so that goes there, positive side of the LED, and again we go back to tapping it. Turn this light off so that it's easy. Okay, so we tap that and we see there's no light. So now we need to turn that around because it has a magnetic polarity induced by the LED having a polarity. So now we can see when we short that out again, if I try and create a shadow there. We might get a better view of the light that's not powered being powered. Now here's where I believe some of the extra power comes from. In the context of using this with a switch, as you see in my other video, Free Energy with Resonance, you'll notice that these coils are switched on and off very, very fast, many thousand times or millions of times per second. It is the off cycle that surprised me also produces energy. So naturally when we tap the light, we would assume we're powering the coil and we're getting some induction there. What happens if we leave the coil leave the power attached? Again, this is a dead short. I don't recommend doing this. But when I let go is what we're looking for now. So I'm attaching now. Now when I let go, why are the lights lighting up when I'm disconnecting power? So I connect power, disconnect power, disconnect, connect, disconnect. Very hard to see because it's a very, very small and crude experiment when you consider these are not meant to be connected this way. These are meant to operate on fast switching DC. So how do we make that into a practical device? And practically any switching mechanism that you can use, just move those coils out the way and slide this forward. Okay, so here what we're using is just a relay. This is an automotive relay. You can buy these. Diamond does, well, they're not that cheap, but you can buy these, they're everywhere. Now, if you're interested, like I said, I could make this into a 30-minute video and explain the ins and outs. I will just say before I get into what I hope to be a shorter video is that if you need any more details than what I show you in this video, send me a message, tell me where you're from. Just for my data purposes, because I'm a bit of a nerd that way. Just leave a comment and state where you're from, and obviously what your comment is. If you need more information, let me know. And so just before I get into this, a little word of warning here, and this is one of the reasons why I liked the AA version. If you look through my channel, you can see the videos there. So the AA version will not weld a hole right through the side of a light fixture, and I like that because it's safe. I can set it running for days, hundreds of days on end, and I don't have to worry about coming home to something blown up, burnt out, or whatever. Something goes wrong with one of the components inside this light that I was using, you will have that, and it practically welded one of these leads here. So be careful. The voltages will be on average from this tiny little coil and relay set will be 10 times minimum higher than the applied voltage. So you can actually run 120 volt devices off of something like this and a 12 volt battery. Now that was my last 110 volt light. I no longer have anything. I bought a whole heap of them back in the laser saber days, because that was some of the first stuff that I worked on, and I didn't know how to make it work for 240 volt lights. So I bought some 110 volt lights. If you look at one of my other circuits, my actual circuit, you'll see that for those people living on the 240 volts, you can make that portable circuit and not need to purchase 110 volt lights. So that being said, I did say I wanted to get away from being the one-track pony and just try to mix up the videos. However, we're going to use the Tesla transfer method here, which if you go back and look at my other videos, to save the people who are already familiar, you can understand what's going on there. We're going to use that principle here. So here we have our series bank of batteries, two 12 volt batteries, 7 amp hours I believe they are, on the right hand side. So that's our series bank. This here is our parallel bank. You can see the wiring pretty clearly there. Okay, if you are interested in doing this, the first time I saw this using this method was like maybe late 90s, I think. Mark Bellinger, I think, was the guy. Don't quote me on that, but anyway, he released this information. So we're using this relay, and I've looped. So I have positive coming in, negative lead on those two terminals. As I said before, these are automotive. It'll usually come in the description which terminal is what. I can go into that more detail if you need it. Let me know in the comments. Then I have looped these two terminals. Again, let me know if you need that information. And when you do that, just remember this produces high voltages, which are lethal. So you can blow a hole in the side of something like that. Yeah, it's not going to feel good if that happens on your finger. Right, so if you live to know about it. So please be careful. But you know, that's not something that should stop you doing these things, because everybody knows that driving a car is pretty dangerous. People die every day in those things, but that's not a reason to not drive one. So we learn these things, and we advise people of the need for caution, and hopefully they're sensible enough to protect themselves. Right, so we're using the transfer method. We're connecting up this 12 volt relay. This makes a horrible noise. Just a horrible noise. So I have this on a piece of foam. Try and dampen some of that noise. It still sounds horrible. Family hates me when I start messing around with this, experimenting. So I generally do this when they're not here. So I won't really be able to talk when I put it on. So let's plug that in. Before I plug it in, this small light here that I've connected out this side of the relay is a 240 volt LED. I have a fascination with lights, so every time I go to the shop, I'm like, oh, what, lights on special? Yep, I'll get that. Don't know what it's for. No idea. Don't really care. Wonder if it works on my stuff. So bring it home, blow it up, or use it. So this is a 240 volt. This is the only 240 volt I can get to light up off of this system. But for those people who don't have access to the 110 volt lights, I'll show you a better alternative in a second. So I'm going to connect that to this terminal here, negative, and in fact I can connect it to any terminal. So just wanted to tell you that now before I plug this in, because it sounds horrible. Right, so we go on this side. I told you. Okay, that terminal doesn't want to sit down there for some reason. So we place that on. Oh. Okie dokie. Why is it always during filming? Okay, place that down there. Remember to be careful. Now has high voltage. Little contacts here vibrate back and forth. I have dropped this one. It's exceptionally loud. They're not all that loud. However, you know, if you found that to be too loud and too annoying, put it in a box, soundproof it. So there, if we turn off this light, we can now see that the 240 volt light just barely illuminates. Now I can do that from that terminal. Oh, okay, that's what you need to be careful of. I can do that on that terminal, on any one of those terminals. So it truly produces a high voltage power. So you need to be careful there, as I just demonstrated not to do. So now we keep in mind that high voltage is going to be turned off. That high voltage is collapsing in that coil in the same way that these coils, we saw that extra energy on the collapse, and that's happening hundreds of times a second, if not more. And in that process, with every time that turns on and off, there's a high voltage spike, which has to be consumed by these batteries. Now, the transfer method is very efficient in itself. When you add this concept to it, it takes it to that next level. Now, I have not done enough testing with this setup to make solid claims. However, this setup does seem to be overly efficient, and it has so far been charging both batteries. So if I put the voltage meter on there, so that's our 12 volt battery bank, and if I place it onto just one side of the drive batteries, it's 12.98. Now if I turn that back on, I could place that on there first before I turn that back on, and you will see that will start to climb. If I place, no, that's not going to be visible there. If I slide that coil over a little, yep, and we turn on the light, which seems to make little to no difference. What if we turn off the overhead light? Okay, that's better. Right, then I will connect that relay coil. Helps if I have the terminals on. Okay, so 13.13, we'll connect that relay in the fashion that is for the transfer method. It's such a horrible noise. You can see why I'm constantly getting in trouble and being asked to leave, turn it off, leave, take it with me. So that will charge that, just like the transfer method. I'll save your ears and my ears. Again, remember, you would put this isn't going to be where you're having dinner. This is going to be placed you know, out where your batteries are. If you're off grid, this will, it is very, very efficient in the way that it charges both batteries, both battery banks, your primary bank and your receiving bank. It charges them both at the same time if you do what I'm about to show you now. And so we'll make this quick because this video is just naturally way longer than I expected I could get this done in. So here we have LED, normal 18 watt LED that runs on 12 volt and 24 volt. That's how it was advertised. I thought, yep, great, in case I blow it up, in case I present a higher voltage, won't be a problem. Okay, so I have that connected to the negative of the serial bank. Okay, again, if you need a schematic, let me know in the comments. Right, so now what I will do is I will connect that to the output of that relay where I had the high voltage. Now that's going to turn the light on straight away. Okay, so that's a nice bright light, and that's coming through the relay. Now it gets more efficient if I am then to take that and turn the relay on. Okay, so now I'm running my light through the relay. I'm running the relay, so I'm charging up both batteries as well as completing the normal transfer method. So let's turn the light on here. And so that charges up that battery, the receiving one, quite rapidly, because now we've got two connections. I'm going to disconnect. I'm just going to disconnect it because it's just too uncomfortable to have that and try and explain what I think's going on there. So I believe that having it connected to both the primary and the secondary batteries, the dry battery and the receiving batteries, the discharging and charging battery, and facilitating that as a device used for the transfer method, you just naturally gain that extra advantage of having that collapsing coil so many times a second, dumping its excess energy into both battery banks, whilst producing a slightly higher voltage on the LED light. It doesn't seem to damage it. I'm not going to be responsible if you blow up a light with this, because as I said, this is one of the reasons why I prefer the AA version. But alright, it's just impossible to do a 5-minute video covering things that are so important and so necessary to understand. But to any of you who have made it this far, thank you. Please like, share and subscribe if you haven't already. Other than that, let me know if you need more information. Have a nice day.